Hello, amazing parents and caretakers, and welcome to the Pumped Up Parenting Podcast. I'm your family empowerment coach, Celia Kibler. I'm a mom of a blended family of 5 kids. I'm a grandma of 9 kids, an author, a teacher, a speaker, and a consultant with over 40 years of training and real-life parenting experience. I'm here to offer you practical, doable tips, strategies, and techniques that will pump up your parenting skills and create peace, love, and laughter throughout your family. In addition, I'll be interviewing some great humans that are on a mission to make your life a better, happier, and healthier life. So let's not waste any time and get started with the next episode of the Pumped Up Parenting Podcast. Thanks for listening. Hi, Kevin. Hi, Sarah.
Hello. Thank you so much.
Oh, so glad to have you here. So excited. I always look forward to these presentations. So I'm excited that we're going to discuss nature. Wasn't that a good segue?
Yeah,
and
it really was.
Harry didn't even know. He didn't even know. He just segued right into that.
Hi,
Awesome.
Kevin. Hi, Sarah. Matthew Johnson coming at you live from Indiana Dunes State Park from our first Shinrin Yoku Dojo, a personally a local native wildlife meditation meadow, which Kevin and I practiced on last night. I'm here planting trees and trying to get it ready for Kevin to come back and work his magic again.
Oh, I love it.
Beautiful. Yes, I want to thank you, Matthew, for
Here, you don't want to see my fat head. Fill
Yes,
your
we
screen
do.
with the
We like to
green.
see
Look
your
at this
head.
is green. You want to see
It's not
green? Here's
fat.
green.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
there's
I'm
the
just going to
green.
pass the mic to my friends, Kevin and Sarah. I want to say is that thank you. We always open with gratitude. Gratitude to the International Day of Poem, FNMU faculty, both in Tokyo and here in the USA. It's like, 4 a.m. in Tokyo, so they're asleep. But I'm
Oh,
here
yeah, it's
representing us
1:30
all
here
and saying
in
thank you.
Baltimore.
Yeah, thank you, Day of Poem. And please listen closely to our friends Sarah and Kevin. They've got some fun things for you. Donations all go to Day of Poem. FNMU has nothing to sell except Jakku. And now they're going to tell you how to get it for yourself. Take it away, Sarah and Kevin.
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you.
Okay, Sarah and Kevin, I'm going to leave you two and let you
Cool.
do your magic.
I'm going to try to share my screen here. Let's see.
Hey.
Let's see. Okay. I'm gonna put it on.
Full screen. There you go.
Okay. Is this good? Can you see it?
Yep,
Oh, yeah.
perfectly.
Okay. So I'll just say a quick thank you to Celia and the Day of Calm team and Matthew for inviting us, and I will pass it over to Kevin.
You. Aniin and Dinaway Magana Dog. Kevin Indigenous Kaz. Gawaba Big in a Kag and Donjaba. Wanakane in the Donjaba. Yorkshire in the Donjaba. And also Lower Saxony in the Donjaba. Chicago, Anishinaabe, Odishkode, Khan, a King, and Da, and Gwetch. And so that was Ojibwe language, Anishinaabe Moen. And I said, hello, my relatives. My name is Kevin, and I'm of the Fairbanks family, a White Earth Reservation, northern Minnesota, previously Madeline Island, Wisconsin, and also Yorkshire, England, and also Germany, Lower Saxony. And I say that to bring gratitude for my ancestors and to also honor your ancestors as well who are here with us and just really taking a moment to acknowledge them. So I'm just going to take a second for that. All right. So I also said Chicago, which is where Sarah and I are located, and just wanted to acknowledge that this is the ancestral homelands of Anishinaabe people, and specifically the Council of Three Fires, Ojibwe, Ottawa, and Potawatomi. And today we're talking about forest therapy, right? And working with the land, healing with the land. And it's great that we're bringing in land acknowledgments as well. And also there's an invitation to go beyond land acknowledgments too, and to start to build solidarity in collective calm, right? To start to, engage with land back projects and to start to create more spaces of not just personal healing, but healing justice as well, knowing that our calm is collective, our calm is ancestral, not just personal. And so it's great that we can be invited into these deeper relationships and start to create action plans as we're healing with the land. How can we also heal in community and connection with Native people? And so that takes many forms. There's a lot of land back projects out there. I've got, projects that I'm working with now up on Madeline Island. And, there's always a project in some area where you're at. So we invite into beyond land acknowledgements into that collective action. So thank you, Miigwech.
Thank you, Kevin. That's so important. And I just want to piggyback on that and say what we're going to talk about today seems like really simple ideas and concepts, which they are, but there's actually a lot that goes into it, and a lot of influences, Native American influence being a huge one, and also no matter where you are in the world, Indigenous people where you are, who had a very close personal relationship with the land based in reciprocity, which we'll touch on more. And you'll see just a smattering of some of my other influences. A big one for today's talk is my training with the Association for Nature and Forest Therapy, which Kevin is in now. So yeah, we'll keep moving so we can get more into the experiential kind of practical tips for you all. But just a quick summary of what is forest therapy. You may have heard of it. You may have heard of forest bathing or Shinrin Yoku. It's a practice of basically being present in nature, or even with nature if you can't actually be in nature. And we'll get more into that too. So there's overlaps with mindfulness principles where you're practicing being present without judgment, but instead with curiosity, with an openness, or even with compassion. And also it's about tending to our relationship with the earth like we might with our friends or family or our own selves. And so there's similarities, it's a little different than like the Japanese method of Shinrin Yoku, but there's a lot of similarities, and there's similarities and differences with Dr. Matthews' approach and his training. But there's a lot of the same concepts that everybody can benefit from that we'll share about. Hopefully you heard Dr. Matthews talk yesterday on the benefits, of which there are so many. A lot of measurable physical health benefits like anxiety and depression, stress hormones, heart rate variability, attention span, immunity, and so on. And then there's also the benefits that are harder to measure, like feeling a greater sense of connection with nature, benefits of self-discovery, a sense of belonging, and kind of like the more spiritual benefits. And then a big one also is like the indirect benefit of people who are tending their relationship with the earth are going to be more motivated to care for it. And so we need that more than ever in this world. So now we're going to get into some of the more practical, maybe experiential bits of how you can find calm in nature on your own. I tend to take people, and Kevin will too, in groups, large groups, small groups, individuals, for a forest therapy session that lasts 1 to 3 hours, and we're guiding you along the way. I'd highly recommend you all trying to find a forest therapy guide where you live. I can help you with that if you'd like. But in the meantime, you can also do a lot of this on your own, even just in a few minutes. So that's what we'll get into next. But actually first, so we're going to start with, in my opinion, the how you approach it is more important than the what you do. None of this is really like directive or instructional. It's all invitational. So first, we're going to talk about the how you would approach connecting with nature mindfully, and I'll pass it back to Kevin.
Thanks, Sarah. So finding a place, yes, this is place-based, but you are the place too. Just knowing that nature is everywhere. This is accessible to anyone, right? You can go to a park, you can go to your backyard, you can just be in your room at your house or apartment and just work with a house plant. And ultimately, you are nature. And that's very important to remember that this practice is that, rebuilding of that memory of connection that we have, that we've always been nature. The American Indian movement activist and poet John Trudell once said, "We are shapes of the earth." And for me, I grew up not thinking that at all. I thought it was just human and separate. And so this practice coming back to the land is remembering who we are, that we are the earth. So that's your place, and we're finding that.
Yeah, and these are, I hear Harry and saying what a lot of people say, Harry who lives in Miami, like, oh, I wish I had more nature around me, more nature paths. And I live in Chicago, and I used to get really frustrated with not being able to get to what felt like real nature. And part of the beauty of this practice is that it helps you find nature wherever you are. And so these are some of the examples of places I've guided people in Central Park in New York City, or parks where we start next to parking lots. So it doesn't have to be a perfect place. The second suggestion is to set aside some time and distractions. And like I said, ideally you can set aside a larger chunk of time occasionally, but on a regular basis, you can even just take a few minutes. A big part of it is really allowing yourself to be present. And so turning your phone off, even setting it, like leaving it inside or something, or chucking it across the room if you're inside, is highly recommended. Our phones steal our attention constantly these days. But do what you can, even if, for your job or you're a parent or whatever, and you can't set it aside, a little something is better than perfection.
There, I'm checking my phone right now.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So keeping yourself and the earth safe. Dress for the weather. Yes, it helps to have good dressing for weather. If it's cold out there, you want to stay safe, stay warm. And also staying on the paths too, if you're in an area that might be restored or on that path to restoration. And there's a lot of sensitive plants out there that need that support of not being stepped on. And also being aware of the poison ivy and ticks in the area, any dangers, and then ultimately doing what feels good to you, knowing again that these are all just invitations. And, if you don't feel comfortable with any of it, then you don't have to do that. So what feels good to you, what feels right, and that connection, and then just considering asking for permission from the earth, right? In Ojibwe culture, tobacco is put down, a sema is put down usually, and that permission, that gratitude is, expressed right away. So just consider that in your own ways or in ways that you're learning about culturally or however you may go about it, but just considering asking permission first from our earth, our mother.
Number 4 is less thinking, more feeling, and less doing, more being. And so a lot of people will come to a forest therapy session, and they're like, okay, what do I do? And they want to do everything right. But it's really less about doing things a certain way and more about just letting yourself be. And that's really, really hard these days because we're all used to doing, meeting our goals, going through our to-do list. And that's really important, but if we don't give ourselves a break from that, we not only push ourselves to burnout, but we miss out on so much of our human experience. We miss out on the ability to find calm, and we miss out on different ways we can relate to nature. So we're not out there like even like identifying species and things like that, all of which is very, very important. But again, it's not what we're trying to do here. We want to carve out time that has gotten pushed away in our society, of time of really just letting ourselves be with nature. And these are all photos of, different times I've guided and groups I've guided. The next one is letting go of perfection and shoulds, which really relates to the one before, where again, it's not about doing anything right or even in a particular way. Like there's no way to be like a good forest bather, you just go and you be yourself, you do what feels good, you follow your instincts, you follow your heart, your body. Kids are really, really good at this until they're taught otherwise and trained out of it. And so being in nature in this kind of like mindful, playful, free way where with your kids can be so healing, so powerful, so bonding. And so, yeah, just really, really, we try to tell people not to worry about what you look like. I often go out there and there'll be a group of us walking really slowly, because part of it is we slow down. And we're walking really slowly and just taking everything in. And people walking by us on their bikes or speed walking will just kind of give us like a double take. And, I've learned to just, it's okay. It doesn't matter if we look like weirdos in the woods. It's getting away from what, society has conditioned us to always be, a certain way. And the last kind of how, I'll pass back to Kevin.
All right, thanks, Sarah. So remembering reciprocity. So this practice is really inviting us into relationship with the earth, and building that relationship takes reciprocity, right? Just like any relationship that you would have, and that takes giving and receiving, a give and take. And that's both in being and in action. So sometimes I've always thought, oh, reciprocity is just something I do, but going back to the last slide, it doesn't have to be always doing and trying to perfectly do these things. There are actions like picking up litter, removing invasives, and just caring for your corner of the earth. And that's really great to do. And also, as well, there's that being, and doesn't take any action. It can just be through our breath, our touch, our being, that gratitude, and starting to really build that relationship, which of course takes time, but it takes those, practices of both being and action and reciprocity.
Yes. And so now we're going to go through 4 invitations that you can take them or leave them. I'm sure most of you are inside except for Matthew. And that's okay. You can be inside, and these aren't going to be super involved or anything. But just to give you a little taste of what you might be able to try on your own later today or next week when you're out in nature or even inside. And this first one, I'm going to invite you into like a little guided meditation with me, if you'd like. And so I'm guessing many of you might be multitasking, as we do. And that's okay. But if you'd like to take like literally 5 minutes right now to just set that aside, whatever else you might be doing, and find a cozy spot, I invite you to do that. This is how we start all of our forest therapy experiences. And typically I'll take 15 or 20 minutes, but because we're all so in our heads, I think it was Harry who shared the quote about being in our head eventually killing us or something. It's to our detriment if we're always in our heads. And I speak from experience. So this is meant to help us get out of to quiet our thinking analytical minds a little bit. And so I'll just take a few minutes, and I invite you to join me if you'd like. And as you start to settle in, before you close your eyes, inviting you to just take a look around your room where you are, wherever you are, and not in a judgmental way where we're like, oh, see dishes that need to be done or papers that need to be organized or anything that needs to be changed, just so we can start to practice just like witnessing and just being okay with what is. And turning your head, neck, torso, and eyes was a way that humans have evolved to feel a sense of safety. And inviting you, if you feel ready, to close your eyes or maybe just soften your gaze. And notice your breath. There's no need to breathe in any special way. Our bodies know what to do. Just inviting you to notice your breath. Notice your inhale and your exhale. And maybe just by noticing, your breath will change a little bit. Maybe it will get a little deeper or louder or slower, just honoring really whatever your breath wants to do. And maybe on your next inhale, taking a moment to thank all the trees and the other plant beings that are around you outside your building, or maybe your house plants that are sharing their breath with you. Taking a moment to thank them. And on your next exhale, maybe wondering if the trees and the other plant beings are noticing your exhale. Again, just a way of noticing this theme of reciprocity, where we're always in relationship with the earth, even when we're not actively doing anything. And now moving on and noticing the place where you are resting against your chair or your bed or the ground, and just noticing those points of contact. And seeing if you can let your body sink in a little bit more to this place where you are right now, knowing there's nothing else you need to do for the next few minutes. Knowing that underneath you is the earth, and the earth is there holding you. And so just see what it might feel like to let the earth hold you. Now inviting you to take a moment, if you are inside, to imagine. Wake up your imagination, which is a sense I like to remind us to use as grown-ups, and imagine that you're someplace in nature that you love being. I invite you to imagine yourself there. Imagine what you might see in this place. Imagine what you might hear. Imagine what you might smell. Remembering to breathe throughout. Imagining what you might taste. Imagining what you might feel on the outside of your body, maybe the wind touching your skin, which is our largest sensory organ, or the earth underneath you. And imagining what you might feel on the inside. Any emotions or sensations, just taking a moment to be with those. And we'll just take a moment to be with our sensory experience in our imagination. Maybe partly in our imagination and partly in wherever we are. And inviting you to notice any sensations or feelings that may feel good to you. And just see if you can sink into those good feelings or welcome them in and let them linger a moment. And whenever you're ready, inviting you to flutter your eyes open and just take in your surroundings again, reorienting yourself to the room and back to the presentation, but taking your time and coming back and moving your body in ways that might feel good, doing any stretches or movements. And that was just about 5 minutes, a quick little introduction to hopefully help you feel a little more grounded, which we always like to do at the beginning of our forest therapy experiences. And I'll pass it back to Kevin now.
Wow. Thank you so much, Sarah. I feel too calm now to present. Yeah, so this is the second invitation here, which you'll see some awesome pictures of folks out there being with the land in a way that's similar to their environment. moving or being still, inspired by nature. And so this is kind of a practice of co-regulation. And I'd like to think it's also a practice to start, getting that sense of relationship that, sees our environment as our relatives. There's a lot of talk about co-regulation, and I feel like nature is the perfect co-regulator in that sense. And, that might take the form of seeing a lake here and stretching your arms out and feeling the expansiveness of that lake that you also have. Or as our friend here is laying down by a log, seeing how calm that log is. How calm can you be with that log? And taking in that as well, receiving, also giving that back. Or may take the form of seeing treetops swaying slowly in the wind, starting to sway with them and seeing how that relationship starts to form. And so we would invite you, if you're, in a room, you maybe have a house plan, or maybe you have a window out into your backyard, or any tree that you may see. Or you can also imagine as well, after the meditation that Sarah brought us through, also imagining, a tree or a lake, just connecting with that and trying to move or be still in a way that's inspired by that. So that's our second invitation.
Yeah, so this we'll just kind of do this in real time. So maybe you already started doing it, just taking a moment. And normally we would take much longer to do this, but we're just giving you a little taste today. So we'll move on to our next invitation, which I call tick-tock attention. Oh, I love Celia brought in a plant. And I also see Matthew moving, maybe like the trees. Yes, I'm just swaying like how I don't see much nature from where I am right now, but I was just swaying like I often see the trees and plants in the wind. I found it very calming myself. And then, yeah, so coming back to our number 3 invitation. This is inspired in part by the forest therapy training and also by my training in pain reprocessing therapy. And a theme that's come up for several times throughout this conference and the summit is checking in with our internal sensations. And that's often our emotions. Our emotions are actually take the form of internal sensations. But also just any sensations. And we're often used to, especially those of us who have chronic pain or discomfort or emotions, that we often want to ignore them, like the harder emotions, or even the good emotions. We're out of the habit of just checking in with our bodies. And so this invitation is about just checking in with our bodies, noticing what's there, but not in a way to go digging or, fix or solve anything. Again, it's just to check in and notice. And then putting our attention out towards nature. And so when we put our attention out towards nature, a lot can happen. I mean, part of it is it's easier to look at nature with this non-judgmental kind of just like awe or just curiosity. And so we can just look, and then we can put our attention back inward. And just find a rhythm that feels good to you of moving your attention inside and outside. And so using any and all of your senses that you feel called to use. So again, no right or wrong way to do any of this. Do what feels good to you. Find a way where it feels good. And again, normally we take like 10, 15, even 20 minutes to just kind of do this and explore in a way that feels good to your body. But we'll just take, moments now to do this. And maybe you've been doing it throughout. Just welcome you to do what feels good to you. Kevin and I are both doing this swaying, welcoming whatever feels good. There's no right or wrong way to do it, any of this. So just in the interest of time, we'll keep moving. And then this is our last invitation. Then we'll have some closing gratitude and opportunities for sharing. I'm passing it back over to Kevin.
Right. So befriending a tree. Yes, my favorite. So you might think, how can I become a friend with a tree? How does that work? They don't speak like humans. And Maybe not, but they speak in their own way, in their own language. And it might feel weird at first, but we invite you to go out and find a tree that feels right to just sit down, sit with it for maybe 10, 15, even 20 minutes. And I can personally attest to this practice. This practice really actually saved my life. I'm not kidding. When I was first getting sober, about 7 years ago, I, needed somebody to help me. And it turned out to be a tree that was very helpful. It was a trail marker tree or a spirit tree. And these trees are important in native culture, and I went and sat by it. And I didn't have a human grandpa at the time, but I started to form a relationship to now see this tree as my grandpa. And I still visit him. I just went there yesterday, asked him for a little help on this presentation. He gives me strength, he gives me courage. And that relationship formed over years, over time, sitting and giving offerings as well. And trees really, they are our elders, and our society is really struggling with finding elders right now, but we have them everywhere, and they're great listeners too. So go out there and befriend a tree if you can. Oh.
That's beautiful. I just got chills, Kevin. Um, so we like to end all of our forest therapy or any earth interaction, nature interaction with gratitude, and also start it with gratitude and end it with gratitude. So we would like to take a moment now and inviting you all to take a moment of gratitude with us. And so inviting you to, again, just take a moment where you allow yourself to be still and maybe closing your eyes. Checking back in with your breath. Yeah, maybe getting really close to the earth. I love to see Matthew laying on the earth. Yeah, if you're outside, yeah, get as close to the earth as you can. I like to really put a hand on the earth when I'm thanking the earth and a hand on my heart. But for now, you can place a hand or your attention over your heart area and just notice how you feel. Notice how you feel when you think about the earth and all that it and they have done for you, or anytime, just maybe in the last few minutes or anytime throughout your life. And just taking a moment to really offer your gratitude in a way that feels true to you. And I'm going to share a quote from Native American author, scientist, decorated professor, Robin Wall Kimmerer, while we are tuned into our heart area and connected to our hearts. She says, knowing that you love the earth changes you, activates you to defend and protect and celebrate. But when you feel that the earth loves you in return, that feeling transforms the relationship from a one-way street into a sacred bond. And so we'll end by sharing these two questions with you all. They're mainly for you to think about on your own and really answer for yourself. But we also very much welcome any responses you want to share in the chat. And just to see, checking in with your body to see what it feels like to know that the earth loves you, or to receive that love from the earth. And then the second question is, how might you show your love to the earth in return? And so we'll open it up for shares or comments or questions. And yeah, just thanking you all for your participation. Let's see, I'm looking for my comments. Thought I saw some comments come in, but oh, Celia, you're on mute. There you are.
There I am. Yeah, one of the comments is from me.
Oh,
But wait, we did have a comment, but I have to wait. I have to find it.
oh, cool,
How
cool. Yeah.
long,
There you
Brenda
are.
says, how long is the walk?
Oh, yeah, so they're often called forest therapy walks. I kind of stopped calling it that because we don't do a lot of walking. Well, for mine, every guide has their own style. But for me, I find walking can kind of help make people feel like they're still in the go, go, go mode, and the destination mode and trying to see a bunch of things mode. So I don't cover much ground at all, but I do like to set aside 2 hours because it takes a while for people to slow down their analytical thinking minds because they're all so busy and it's so hard. So I like to spend the first 20 plus minutes just guiding people in a sensory meditation, and then they're doing offering some invitations like we offered to you, where we give people a chance to experience them on their own and in a longer time. And then a big part of it is actually sharing with each other throughout, where Celia, I love how you talk so much about listening, because that's a big part of this practice too, is of course listening to nature, but then also listening to each other. And when we do this in a group, and everybody's, minds have hopefully slowed down a little bit, and we get to the sharing circles, which we do throughout. And we really encourage people to listen and not respond at all, so that they're not thinking about their response, so that you can just kind of receive and witness. But anyway, to answer the question, yeah, anywhere. I mean, I've done ones that are an hour, because people are busy, we try to just meet them where they're at. But in our training, it's recommended for 2 to 3 hour experiences, but we can be flexible and creative, of course.
How do you gather your groups? Like, do people find you? Do you find them?
Yeah, so a combo. I started my business, That Forest Feeling, about 3 years ago. And at first people were very, it was, we're still in the leftovers of COVID, and I felt like people had more time and were more used to okay, I'm going to just spend some time outside. And I feel like people have gotten busier and busier, and it's kind of harder for people to take time away from their to-do lists and their busy lives. And so I do some on my own, where I just try to market, and I get some people to sign up and meet me in the woods, a stranger in the woods occasionally. But I'm trying more and more to partner with groups like public libraries and forest preserves, so that they can pay for it, and then the people can show up and do it for free, which is my goal, is to have people be able to do it for free whenever possible. And that's why I'm so grateful for the work that Dr. Matthew is doing in helping people get access to this through their insurance, and where it's something that their doctor tells them to do, so they don't have to, come up with, find a way in their busy lives. So yeah,
that's something people get. They don't realize that if they took a break and they connect with nature and they go out there, it de-stresses them. It makes them more productive when they come back. Like, not having those breaks in your day is doing a disservice to what you need to get done. So even though you have that big list, nature should be on it.
Yes. And, I know a lot of other speakers have been talking about the importance of practice and consistency in whatever they're doing and whatever they're sharing. And the same goes for this. And I don't even like actually to say the word consistency, because I'm not very good at consistency, but I like accumulative, so I like to celebrate whenever I do it, and invite you to do the same, because the more you do it, and especially the more you do it with where you can really get into the good feeling and access the good feelings of it, the easier it is. And then the more that kind of calm and feeling of love, being loved and loving and being connected to others will come to you in the middle of your busy day, when you're with your kids or, your coworkers or whatever.
Right.
So yeah, practice and being guided is really helpful.
And Chris says, thank you for this presentation. It has definitely amplified his calm.
Thank you, Chris.
So thank you so much, Sarah and Kevin, for being here. I so appreciate it. Matthew, and if everybody, who wants to still donate, please donate, because they have been gracious enough to match all donations. So this would be a great time to donate. I'm not sure if we have a little video of the kids at the Brilliant School wishing us all a happy International Day of Calm, But thank you for being here, Sarah and Kevin. Thank you for taking us on this little nature journey through glass. It was all very relaxing and wonderful, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
And hope you can stay.
Matthew.
We have 2 more people. Thank you for listening to the Pumped Up Parenting Podcast. If this episode was helpful to you, please share it with a friend and leave us a review that will help others. Wonder why kids don't come with a manual? Well, wonder no more, because I wrote you one, and it's just won a wonderful Mom's Choice Award. Go to celiasbooks.com and buy your copy of Raising Happy Toddlers, as well as my children's books. I appreciate you being part of my mission to help 10 million parents stop yelling at their kids. Please be intentional and hug on those kids of yours. See you at the next episode.